The Doomsday Plane. Imagine, the world has just witnessed a devastating nuclear attack. Cities have fallen silent. Communication networks have collapsed. Military headquarters are gone. Even the White House may no longer be functioning. In a moment like this, who commands the country? Who gives military orders? And how does a nation continue to fight when everything on the ground has been destroyed? The answer is hidden high above the clouds. A mysterious aircraft designed for the worst day in human history. A plane built not for peace, but for the possibility of nuclear war. This is the Boeing E-4B, better known around the world as the Doomsday Plane. Unlike Air Force One, which is famous for carrying the president during normal travel, the Doomsday Plane has a completely different mission. Its purpose is simple: to keep the United States government alive and operational even if a nuclear attack destroys critical command centers on the ground. This flying command center is packed with highly advanced communication systems, protected electronics, and technology that allows military leaders to coordinate an entire war while remaining thousands of feet in the air. But why was such an extraordinary aircraft ever created? To understand that, we have to go back to one of the most dangerous periods in modern history. The Cold War. During the 1950s and 1960s, the United States and the Soviet Union were locked in an intense nuclear arms race. Both nations built thousands of nuclear weapons capable of destroying entire cities within minutes. At any moment, a single decision could have changed the course of human civilization forever. Because in the United States, only one person has the authority to order a nuclear strike: the president. Normally, those launch orders travel through secure military command centers before reaching missile crews, bomber aircraft, and nuclear submarines. But military planners discovered one terrifying weakness. What if America was attacked first? A powerful nuclear explosion creates an electromagnetic pulse, also known as an EMP. This invisible wave can disable communication systems, damage electronics, and cripple electrical infrastructure across huge areas. If command centers were destroyed, if communication networks failed, and if military headquarters disappeared, how could the president still control America's nuclear forces? The answer was unlike anything the world had ever seen. Instead of relying only on buildings, the United States decided to move its command center into the sky. And that decision would eventually lead to the creation of one of the most secretive and fascinating aircraft ever built. To guarantee that America could always respond to a nuclear attack, military leaders launched a highly secret operation known as Operation Looking-Glass. Its mission was simple. If every command center on the ground was destroyed, someone in the sky would still be in control. Instead of depending on underground bunkers, the U.S. Air Force converted Boeing KC-135 aircraft into airborne command centers. These modified aircraft, called EC-135s, carried powerful communication equipment capable of controlling America's nuclear forces from the air. The name Looking-Glass had a special meaning. These aircraft were designed to become an exact mirror of the main military command center on the ground. Whatever could be done inside headquarters could also be done inside the aircraft. But there was still one major problem. If these planes stayed parked on the runway, they could easily be destroyed before taking off. So the military made an extraordinary decision. Beginning in 1961, at least one Looking-Glass aircraft would remain in the sky every second of every day. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. No matter if it was midnight, a national holiday, or the middle of a thunderstorm, one airborne command aircraft was always flying above America, ready to take control if disaster struck. This continuous airborne alert lasted for an unbelievable 29 years. Think about that. For nearly 3 decades, there was never a single moment when America didn't have a flying nuclear command center already in the air. It became one of the longest-running military operations in modern history. Eventually, as technology improved, the aging EC-135 aircraft could no longer meet the military's growing needs. The United States wanted something larger, more powerful, more secure, and capable of carrying even more advanced communication systems. So during the 1970s, engineers began transforming one of the world's biggest passenger aircraft, the Boeing 747. But this wasn't an ordinary jumbo jet. Almost everything inside was redesigned. Instead of carrying hundreds of passengers, it would carry military commanders, communications specialists, defense officials, and enough technology to coordinate an entire nation's military response during the worst crisis imaginable. This new aircraft became the Boeing E-4B, the aircraft the world now knows as the Doomsday Plane. Even today, only 4 of these aircraft exist. They remain on constant standby, ready to launch within minutes whenever a national emergency demands it. But what truly makes the Doomsday Plane extraordinary isn't just its history, it's what's hidden inside. Behind its ordinary-looking exterior lies one of the most advanced airborne command centers ever built. And that's where things become even more fascinating. From the outside, the E-4B looks almost identical to a normal Boeing 747. But the moment you step inside, you realize this is no ordinary aircraft. Every room, every system, and every piece of equipment has been designed with one purpose: to keep the United States government operating during the worst crisis imaginable. At the very front of the aircraft is a secure VIP command suite. This private area is reserved for the nation's highest-ranking leaders. If a nuclear war ever broke out, this is where the president could safely work while directing military operations from thousands of feet above the earth. Under normal circumstances, however, the aircraft is more commonly used by the U.S. Secretary of Defense during overseas travel. Just behind the VIP suite is the aircraft's galley, the onboard kitchen and service area. Although it may seem ordinary, even this section is built to support missions that could last for several days without landing. Next comes one of the most important rooms on the aircraft, the conference room. At first glance, it looks like a standard meeting room. A large table, comfortable seats, nothing unusual. But during a national emergency, this room transforms into a flying situation room. Here, military commanders and government officials gather to discuss intelligence, review military options, and make decisions that could affect millions of lives. Every conversation inside this room could shape the future of an entire nation. Moving deeper into the aircraft, we enter the briefing area. This section contains a podium where senior officials can address their teams during flight. Large briefings, military updates, and emergency planning sessions can all take place while the aircraft remains airborne. This area also serves another important purpose. During overseas missions, it can quickly be converted into a press briefing room, allowing government officials to speak with journalists without ever leaving the aircraft. But the true heart of the Doomsday Plane lies even farther inside. The battle staff area. This is the largest workspace on board. Instead of passenger seats, you'll find rows of military workstations, computers, secure telephones, printers, communication terminals, and teams of specialists working around the clock. This is where military officers monitor unfolding events across the globe. They receive intelligence, track potential threats, coordinate military responses, and ensure every critical decision reaches the right people at exactly the right time. In many ways, this room functions like a military headquarters. The only difference, it's flying nearly 40,000 feet above the ground. And if every command center below were destroyed, this airborne headquarters could continue leading the nation's defense without interruption. The most powerful weapon aboard the Doomsday Plane isn't a missile, it isn't a bomb, it's communication. Because in a nuclear war, the ability to send one message could change everything. Hidden inside the aircraft is a highly secured communications center. This is where specially trained operators work around the clock, maintaining constant contact with military bases, government leaders, missile silos, naval fleets, and aircraft across the world. But surviving a nuclear attack requires more than just ordinary radios. If one communication network fails, another immediately takes over. If satellites are disrupted, backup systems become active. The aircraft is equipped with multiple independent communication networks, ensuring that even if several systems are destroyed, the mission continues. One of the aircraft's most fascinating technologies sits inside the distinctive hump on top of the fuselage. Hidden inside is a super high-frequency, or SHF, satellite communication system. Using powerful directional antennas, the aircraft can establish secure connections with military satellites orbiting thousands of kilometers above Earth. This allows commanders on board to exchange massive amounts of encrypted information almost instantly, even if communication systems on the ground have already collapsed. But that's only the beginning. The E-4B carries one of the strangest communication systems ever installed on an aircraft. Deep inside the communications compartment, there's a massive spool holding an incredibly long antenna cable. When needed, the rear hatch opens, and the cable slowly unrolls behind the aircraft, longer and longer, until nearly 5 miles of wire is trailing through the sky. 5 miles. That's over 8 kilometers of cable flying behind a single airplane. Why would any aircraft need an antenna that long? The answer lies deep beneath the ocean. America's ballistic missile submarines spend months hidden underwater, remaining completely invisible to enemy forces. But communicating with submarines is extremely difficult. Normal radio waves cannot travel through seawater. Only very low frequency, or VLF, radio signals can penetrate deep enough to reach them. And transmitting those enormous radio waves requires an enormous antenna. That's exactly why the Doomsday Plane deploys its 5-mile-long cable. It becomes a giant airborne antenna, capable of sending secure messages to nuclear submarines hidden beneath the waves. When this antenna is deployed, the pilots can't simply fly in a straight line. Instead, they carefully fly wide, gentle circles. This keeps the massive cable stable and prevents it from swinging violently through the air. Operators constantly monitor the antenna using onboard equipment and even a special viewing system. If turbulence becomes too strong, or the aircraft changes speed too quickly, the cable could be damaged. Every movement of the aircraft is carefully controlled, because maintaining communication could mean maintaining the nation's ability to respond during the darkest moment in history. One of the Doomsday Plane's most incredible abilities is that it doesn't need to land. Unlike ordinary aircraft, the E-4B can be refueled while flying. A tanker aircraft connects in mid-air, transfers thousands of gallons of fuel, and within minutes, the mission continues without ever touching the ground. This gives the aircraft an extraordinary advantage. In theory, the Doomsday Plane can remain airborne for nearly an entire week. 7 days, 7 nights. Continuously flying above the Earth while serving as America's airborne command center. During that time, it could circle the planet multiple times without making a single landing. The only reason it would eventually need to return isn't because of fuel. It's because the aircraft's engines would eventually require maintenance and fresh lubricants. To support such long missions, the aircraft includes dedicated crew rest areas. Pilots, communications specialists, military officers, and support personnel can rotate shifts, sleep, eat, and continue working around the clock. The mission never stops. But surviving in the sky is only half the challenge. The real test begins if a nuclear weapon actually detonates. A nuclear explosion creates an electromagnetic pulse, commonly known as an EMP. This invisible burst of energy can instantly destroy sensitive electronic equipment. Power grids can collapse. Communication systems can fail. Modern computers may simply stop working. That's why the Doomsday Plane was engineered differently from almost every other aircraft. Its critical electronics are specially shielded against EMP attacks. The aircraft's windows contain fine conductive mesh that helps reduce the impact of powerful electromagnetic radiation. Even more surprising, many of its flight controls remain intentionally analog, while most modern aircraft rely heavily on advanced digital systems. The E-4B continues using mechanical gauges and traditional instruments wherever possible, because older technology is often far more resistant to electromagnetic damage. Sometimes, the most reliable technology isn't the newest, it's the toughest. Today, Only 4 Boeing E-4B aircraft exist, quietly maintained by the United States Air Force. Always prepared, always ready. Most people will never see one up close. And hopefully, it will never be needed for the mission it was built to perform. Because if the Doomsday Plane ever becomes America's primary command center, it would mean the world has entered one of the darkest chapters in human history. The E-4B isn't famous because it carries weapons. It isn't powerful because of speed. Its true strength lies in something far more important: the ability to keep a nation connected when everything else has fallen silent. The flying fortress, built not to start a war, but to ensure that even in the face of total destruction, leadership, communication, and hope can survive above the clouds. Because sometimes, the last line of defense isn't on the ground, it's already in the sky.